Blog Talk Radio.
Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sport. It is Hump Day. Glad to be back in the Carolina Sports Plus studio. Lord have mercy. We got so much to get into tonight. Got a whole list of things to talk about. And last minute, we got a guest joining us tonight. We got Jay Spearman joining us in about 15 minutes. We're going to spend about a good 20 minutes covering some NBA stuff, talk about Damian Lillard, to the Milwaukee Bucks, Drew Holiday, to the Celtics, Derrick Rose. Who would have ever known? He's not a babysitter. Amongst other things we're going to jump into when Jay's on the show. We got some Friday Night Lights I want to get into and talk about. Notre Dame quarterback C.J. Stroud, where I may or may not have been right on. The Kelsey podcast, the Browns, NFL, the Panthers. We got a lot of things to jump into. Normally I go through this whole spew of a whole bunch of things. It's not happening tonight. We'll get my co-host in the studio. We're going to spit a couple social media spots for you to go check out. We're going to get into this. We can get this all crammed in this next 90 minutes. So without any further delay, Mario, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing? I'm glad to be in the studio on this Wednesday night.
I'm so glad. A lot of things going on. We're going to kind of skip to the meat and potatoes tonight because we don't have a lot of time. Just let them know real quick, social media, website, where they can find you real quick.
Okay, most definitely. Right now you can find us at the Robertson County Fair in Lumberton, North Carolina. We're currently live out here tonight. And you can catch us on social media at Carolina Sports Plus. And you can like us on, you can follow, you can get some merchandise online at carolinasportsplus.com. Let's get into it on this Wednesday.
All right, make sure real quick. You guys go to www.110nationsportsradionetwork.com. You guys catch the shows, the videos, the blogs, the show schedules, everything, and the links to all the different platforms, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Apple, or Amazon. List goes on and on and on. Over there at www.110nationsportsradionetwork.com. Follow us on, or like us on Facebook, The 110 Nation. Follow us on Twitter at 110 Nation. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, The 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. First things first, tonight, I had an opportunity. Well, I say I had an opportunity, but I usually go almost every Friday night, at the home games anyway, to go watch my former high school football team. When I went to high school, our football team actually had the biggest offensive line. The average weight of our offensive line was 305 pounds. We were a pretty big deal. They've won a few state championships since then. Have been runner-up a few times. Then there was some fraud or conspiracy or funny business, whatever. I guess coach was helping pay basically families to move into our city to come play football with us. So they switched coach about 4 years ago, and we have been crap since. This year, we've been decent. I'm glad that we got the discipline under control. It kind of reared its ugly head a little bit on last Friday as part of the reason, or the main reason we lost that football game. But Friday Night Lights is a big deal to me. Friday night football, high school football, even though I don't have any kids that play on this team or any high school football team right now at this point, and nor did I play high school football. I played 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and I think it was one other year I played, and I played other sports. I like the atmosphere. I like seeing the young talent. I like watching football on Friday night and be able to go to it. I like sitting and watching my Buckeyes on Saturday. And except for last weekend, that was horrible. We'll talk about that later. I like watching my Browns on Sunday. Are you a Friday night light kind of guy? Like, do you go to any high school football games? Is it anything that you desire, want? Or is it just something that you could care less? And I know it's a little bit different because I know the 20 years that I lived in North Carolina, I don't think any of the teams in that area was really any good. I think there might have been a year that E.E. Smith might have been pretty good. I don't think Terry Stanford was ever any good. I know Western Hornets always sucked. So I know it's a little bit different, and that way it's more of, I would say, more NASCAR and basketball because of Duke and UNC versus, even though you got the Panthers, it's not a huge football state. It's in football. There's a lot of football. It's just not huge. It's not like Ohio, Florida, and Texas. Are you a Friday night light kind of person?
I go here and there, but it's not a real big concern to me. But ain't nothing like seeing kids, do their thing on a high school football field.
Yeah. I love having an opportunity. I love knowing what we're looking at possibly potentially going through Ohio State. Like Braxton Miller, I was unfortunately not back in Ohio when he played for our football team. Of course, he went on to Ohio State, did pretty good at Ohio State, didn't really have much of an NFL career. I think he's actually back at Ohio State now, part of the recruiting and stuff. I know either last year or the year before, I seen him at some of our games. One of them, I think, was in Columbus. I forget where we traveled to. It was like an hour or so away. I enjoy seeing it. And another part of it is I like seeing the development. Like, sitting here watching it, you get to realize how many different people have either impacted lives and taught these kids things, or how much these kids either really didn't care or wasn't really taught. So it's interesting to sit here and watch who was brought up through coaches that show discipline and fundamentals and stuff like that, and then it just disheartening sometimes. You watch other players and it's like you wonder, did y'all just randomly pick people on the sideline to come join you guys because you didn't have enough players in a pick-me-up game or something? But yes, I'm a huge fry. I love this time of year. I love being out there on a cool Friday night. We pay a little extra, get the seats with the backs on it, especially at our older age. It's hard to sit there with no back on the seat. But enjoyed tremendously going to Friday Night Light games. And speaking and staying kind of in the football atmosphere for a little bit. Did you see Notre Dame's quarterback? Did you watch that Notre Dame Duke game or see the highlights? Yeah,
I saw a little bit of it. I sure did.
Did you see the after the game with the Notre Dame quarterback?
Yep. That was great sportsmanship for sure.
Yeah. I don't like Notre Dame. I'm glad Ohio State beat them. Even though their coach is from my high school, and I believe he also worked Marcus Freeman or whatever his name is. I think it's Marcus Freeman. I think he also coached or went to Ohio State as well, but he went to our high school. I'm just not a fan of Notre Dame. I don't like how they kind of weasel their way in. I'm not being really part of a conference, but they be able to get into the playoffs, even though your strength of schedule's most of the time garbage. Now, the last couple of years they had played a little bit better team, but playoffs they're never any good. I'm just not. I don't know. I've just never been a fan of Notre Dame. But I will say that was probably and will probably be for the entire season the most class act gesture that we'll probably see all year. And for those that don't know, the Duke player got hurt. I don't know how late in the game or if it was the last play of the game. I didn't catch all the highlights. But after the game, the quarterback from Notre Dame stood outside the medic tent while everybody was off the field. There was hardly anybody left out there, and waited until the Duke quarterback came out and checked up on him and make sure he was all right. You don't see that. Part of me has mixed emotions, because I'm also that type, though, Mario, that if we're playing football on the field and you're laying on the ground and you're on the opposite team, I'm not giving you a hand to get up.
I'm not,
I know that's
I'm not
a
that
sense
type.
of sportsmanship, but no, I'm not. You get your own butt up. I'm not helping another team's player get up off the ground.
No.
So
No.
I know it's not the same, but part of me has that. That's like the enemy, and it's not a life or death injury. He just hurt his foot. And what are you doing? But at the same time, it showed a lot of class. It showed a lot of maturity. So in these days, you don't get to see a lot of that. So I was glad we got to see that. Have you seen the Kelsey? I don't know if it's both the Kelseys or the brother of Kelsey. I can't remember his first name. If it's his podcast and Travis just happens to be on it often, have you seen? I have not seen an actual full, but I see a bunch of clips that come through my feed a lot, especially after I watched the first one. Have you seen any of the clips from the podcast that the Kelseys are on?
No, I sure haven't. Like you said, I've seen clips as well here and there. But as far as sitting there watching a full one, I haven't seen one yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know where to catch the actual full. I'm sure if I actually took the time to look. It's just been a hectic, and then I leave Friday to head down to Gatlinburg and gone for the weekend, so it's just been a hectic week. And it's going to be the rest of this week. But I tell you what's very, very entertaining for those that, and I'm not one to usually promote a bunch of other people's podcasts. Not that there's not billions of people out there to listen to all of us. But if you get a chance to listen, for those that listen, have never listened to any clips or any of their shows or listened to a show, I highly suggest sitting down. I am not a Kelsey fan, neither one of them. I don't like Phil. Well, everybody knows I listen to the show. I hate 31 teams. The Browns are the only team I don't hate. Just hate some teams worse than others. Philadelphia and the Chiefs are teams that are kind of higher on my list of hatred. But those two are very entertaining to watch. Between the whole Taylor Swift situation, Kelsey's their mom was on there. Just a skit I watched with that, her talking about the Kelsey from Philadelphia asked the mom, was you upset or sad that you didn't have a girl? You're like, no, but he is a fashionist and is a dancer, and they were doing different clips of him in fashion and doing his dance after touchdowns and stuff. Just very entertaining. So you guys get an opportunity, and you want some good, entertaining podcast, funny talk, some of the stuff they talk, inside stuff. They were taking questions from Swiftie fans, talking about what are downs, what does it mean by you drop the ball, and the stupid stuff that obviously Taylor Swift fans have never watched football, or I'm not going to say none of them, but most of them probably have never watched actual football. Just to watch them read off questions that were sent into them was very entertaining. So if you guys get an opportunity, make sure you guys check that out. CJ Stroud. I tell you what, I was not high on him. I forget where I actually was going to draft him or had him on my draft sheet. I don't even know if this is the notebook I wrote in. I have a whole freaking notebook of stuff. I don't know. I had my concerns, especially with this throwing. It's kind of a delayed release and everything else. But I tell you what, CJ Stroud is definitely doing his thing this season. I think he's the fourth player. I'm pulling it up. I can't remember what the exact stat was. That's insane about C.J. Stroud, other than the fact that he's thrown for over 600 yards. He has 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. There we go. Through 4 career games, NFL history, he's actually got the second most passing yards. And he's the only one on the top 5 list that doesn't have an interception. So he's the only player to have over 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions. It's insane what C.J. Stroud is doing, especially since, and you don't think about it, he's got 1,212 yards right now. You don't think about it because Houston is not that good. There's not a lot of flashiness, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Not a lot of hype, not a lot of things. It's just kind of a quiet team, kind of middle of the pack, kind of doing their thing. Winning a game here, losing a game there, nothing really impressive. But C.J. Stroud, though, looks like he's on a whole different level there, Mario.
Oh, yeah, yes, he is. Like you said, the stats are very good to have. You know, them are for the record book, so ain't nothing like being in records, you know. But he's definitely balling. So now the big word around Carolina is that we took the wrong pick. You know what I mean? So I can definitely give him credit. He was definitely high on the list, but he definitely is balling.
I don't know if I am, and don't get this twisted or anything. I don't think I was not high on Bryce Young either. I don't know still at this point that I feel that Carolina, I guess, necessarily picked the wrong, especially out of them two. I mean, stat-wise, CJ so far has got you got 4 games. You have to talk about they played Indianapolis. I was thinking Indianapolis, and I just pulled them up, and it made me totally forget where I was actually who I was actually looking up for their schedule. But you got to think about it. They played Baltimore, tough appointment, but they played Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Pittsburgh. I wouldn't sit there at this point and brag about 3 of those 4 matches, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis. That Baltimore game, that obviously is a tough opponent, but the other 3, you're talking that right now those 3 other games are kind of middle of the pack teams. So I don't know, but kind of impressed with C.J. Stroud. Being a Buckeye, I'm glad to see him succeed. We don't get a lot of quarterbacks, or really any quarterbacks ever, come out of Ohio State and actually move on and continue on in the NFL and actually have a good career. Do you see that they released, quote unquote, the Madden 25 cover?
Yeah, I saw that on. I saw that. It was definitely, you know, there definitely is a lot of buzz, you know, with the Swifties, with what's going on in Kansas City. You know, it's definitely good for the NFL for sure.
I tell you what, for those that don't know what we're talking about, they have out floating around a Madden 25, the new cover, and it has Taylor Swift with her little heart symbol with her hands on there, is what we're joking about. We discussed last week, we thought the over and under would probably be 2, that we would see her at 2 more games this year, and then maybe playoff games, and there she goes and shows up to the very next game. So I think we're going to blow the 2 games out the water. It is crazy to me still at this point what the Swift effect has done. I mean, that's all they talk about. The attendance, the jersey sales, everything that continues on after 2 weeks, just for some artists that I don't even know if she's ever watched a football game before this whole Travis Kelce thing. And obviously from the questions and everything that I've seen, her fans don't watch football. So it's crazy to me to see the effects, to see what this whole, I don't even know if they're actually even dating at this point, if they're ever going to date, but how this whole thing has evolved into this whole movement, and how this, you got to just imagine being in Roger Goodell's shoes, of like, just kicking his foot back, like, man, look at this attendance, like, look at the, like, if I'd known this, I'd have put them 2 together a long time ago. It's insane. it's insane the ratings, like I said, the ticket sales, the jersey sales, even just seeing them. And I can only imagine what their podcast ratings and numbers got to be like, because if the Swifties are sitting in questions to be discussed on the show, that means the millions and millions. Yes, I'm a former rock fan there. Got to be tuning in and listening, especially if they want to hear their question asked on the show.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. We went on the air 22 minutes ago, right? All right, gotcha. All right, James, get ready to call in. He called me. He wanted a pregame before he came on. He was like, real quick, I want to discuss some things before we get on. I said, you do realize we went live 22 minutes ago, right? She's like, well, I'm going to hang up and call in real quick. So we got Jake on this. So we can switch to the NBA in here 1 second. But, yeah, this whole Kelsey effect is something else. We're getting ready to get Jay Spearman in here. We're going to talk some NBA for the next 20 or so minutes, and then we'll switch over to the NFL. We're going to talk Week 4. As I went 11-5, Mario went 10-6. So I got me one more game, a breathing room. I'm up 3 games, 40-24. Mario's 37-27. So we'll talk a little bit about last week's games, recap that a little bit, and then we will jump into our Week 5 picks. But we got Jay in the studio, so let me go ahead and plug him on in here. Jay, how you been? How's it going?
It's going, brother. I'm so sorry I missed that first 20 minutes, man. Is that Mario on the other line?
Yeah. We're here. I'm here with you.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I can't complain, man. Just another day, another dollar on my side of the woods. How about you?
All right. Well, nothing much, man. Live from the fair tonight.
As you should, man. As you should.
All right, we got a handful of topics I want to get in before we get you out. For those that didn't catch early in the beginning of the show, we got Jay coming on for about 20 or so minutes. Talk some NBA real quick. We ain't talked NBA in a few weeks with the NFL going on. Jay, I'll get up with you later after the show. Maybe every few weeks we can get you a 20 or so minute spot so we can cover things going on in the off season, get ready for this NBA season rolling around the corner, because it's going to be here before we know it. First things first, Damian Lillard to the Milwaukee Bucks. What's your thoughts? Did you like it? Was you just as surprised as it looks like everybody in the NBA was, except for maybe the Bucks themselves? What's your thoughts on Damian Lillard going to the Milwaukee Bucks? Does that change things for you? I know Vegas, it made the Bucks go instantly to being favorites over Denver. Does that change your opinions on the Bucks? I know we went from championship to early exit to adding another piece. What's your thoughts?
Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing. My predictions are typically like 50-50 with situations like this, right? If you remember last year's playoffs, I was accurate about some things, and then I was way off about some things. I will say this, though. If we're talking about championship contenders, it all depends on what type of, Damian Lillard we're going to get. If we're going to get last year's Damian Lillard, it's very difficult not to call them a title favorite just based off the fact that he was statistically he's had one of the best scoring seasons in his career. I mean, you're talking about 71 points in a game. You're talking about, like Dame time Damian Lillard. And you pair that with Giannis, and you have, in my personal opinion, the best pick and roll that you've seen. Most people say Kobe and Shaq. I'm going to take it a little bit step further, and I'm going to say this is the best pick and roll that you've seen since the Utah Jazz of the 90s with John Stockton and Karl Malone, just because it opens up so many lanes for Giannis just to operate and just bulldoze like the opposing team on that offensive end. Now, I will say this. They will be lacking a little bit on the defensive side, and that's just with losing Drew Holiday. I think we all know that. But I think that it's all made up for, if you start talking close games in the fourth quarter, there's nobody outside of Steph Curry that I want the ball in the hands of outside of Damian Lillard. So it's put up a shut-up time, really, for both Dame and Giannis. if they don't win a championship in these next 2 seasons, then quite frankly, they only have themselves to blame.
Yeah.
My other thoughts we talked a little bit about last week. My other thoughts on that to add to that. One, I think this will help extend Damian's career because now he's got some help. He's got some other superstars. The whole team's not dependent on him to carry them. I think it also helps Giannis. It takes some pressure off of him, gives you another ball handler, gives you another scorer. I think if Damian stays there long enough, I think it'll help extend the life of Giannis as well. I like the move, and it also helps Middleton. So now you got 3 serious threats. Defensively, I agree. Mario, your thoughts before we transition over to the Drew Holiday move?
I like it a lot. It is going to be an excellent pick-and-roll game and a lot of open shooters. And especially with Lopez, it's definitely going to be a good team. But on defense, it will be lacking, but they should do something this year.
Drew Holiday to the Boston Celtics. I know there were some questions going into this offseason and what the Celtics need to do, what pieces they needed to add, what pieces they need to move. I know there's been some moves. There's no longer Marcus Smart out there. I know there's a couple other pieces that have been shifted around. Obviously, defensively, this helps the Celtics. Offensively, I know you got some serious threats over there. I think this helps because I think we all feel not Jason Tatum. I'm drawing a blank. The other dude on the team, number 7. Throw his name out there. One of you two, real quick.
Brown.
Brown.
I think that helps because his inconsistency. I think that will help maybe mask that a little better because it's not just them two doing all your scoring at this point since you lost some players. But I think this helps kind of mask that and kind of take some pressure off, especially the days when Brown's having a bad night. It takes some of that pressure off Jason Tatum. It takes some pressure off Brown and not worrying about, okay, I'm only getting 15 points tonight. It's just not on because then you got Holiday to kind of pick up the slack and to be there defensively. Obviously a good piece for the Celtics. I think it's going to make things interesting out east with the Celtics as well. Jay, your thoughts?
So you know what? Here's the funny thing about Boston that no sports podcast, whatever, really mentions, and that's just going to be their defensive prowess. And you got to remember this: you got one of the best defensive point guards in the game, in Drew Holiday. Last year he averaged 1.2 steals a game, 7.4 assists. But you also got to remember you got Kristaps Porzingis right there in the paint. This is a 7-footer. He's bona fide. He's proven that he can be a defensive threat. Yes, they did lose a lot of defense when losing Grant Williams, and their other guy that they ended up sending over to Boston. But you still got Al Horford. You still got Jason Tatum. You still got Derek White. And then this is coming from a Detroit guy, I'm going to bring out a name that nobody mentions and he's so forgotten about just because he's one of those 12, 13 men on the bench, but he does have a lot of defensive potential. And that's only if you're a Detroit Pistons fan. And that's Svi Mykhailiuk. Probably never heard of him, I know. But he's playing with them as well, and he brings a lot of defensive prowess on that small forward position. So this is a team that, quite frankly, is going to be very underrated on the defensive end, especially in the playoffs, considering the division that they're in. I see them going a long way just off of that alone. Don't be surprised if you see an Eastern Conference Finals, and this is going to sound a little bit corny, but I'm really kind of predicting this one right now. You like to see an Eastern Conference Finals featuring Milwaukee and Boston.
Yeah,
I can definitely see that. Before I get your thoughts real quick, Mario, how about when we talk about the Boston Celtics and the pros, we not throw out 90-year-old Al Horford. I'm just playing. It seems like you've been around forever. Anyway, Mario, any thoughts? Because I don't think that had happened last week's show, so that's kind of fresh for us as well.
Yeah, it definitely is a good pickup, especially after losing Smart. But Holiday, he definitely going to help out on the offensive side and most importantly on the defensive side, just like Jay said. But we got to see. It looks good, it sounds good, but it's always something when it comes to Boston within Tatum and Brown. You know what I mean? We got to see how they're going to still get this thing right and get a championship to Boston.
Now, I don't want to cut you off,
oh, you're good.
Jason. I didn't want to cut you off, but I was waiting for somebody to say something about Jaylen Brown. And you know what, Mario, you're right. The guy's inconsistent. He doesn't have a left hand. Like, it's just not his time. But you put the ball in the hands of Jason Tatum, and you got buckets. I mean, it is what it is. So
yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that cat, man.
Jimmy Butler. Seems like he's not happy about all this. Y'all seen the press conference, the media, the whatever he had going on with his hair. Did y'all see that stuff?
Yeah, I saw
I'm
that.
emo or whatever. Oh my Lord! What's your guys' thoughts about Jimmy Butler? And what's going on there, Mario? You first this round. What's your thoughts on Jimmy Butler? That conference. I feel he has a right to be mad. Like I think everybody thought he was going to Miami. I think Jimmy Butler was led to believe that Lillard was going to make his way to Miami, and instead, Miami's pretty much the same team and don't have Lillard. And I think Butler's a little aggravated about this. So, your thoughts on the move? What we saw out of Butler, and I don't know what to call what we saw. I don't want to say it was a rebellion. It just looked like he hadn't done up his hair, because usually Butler, when he's on court, is pretty much on point with way he looks. Yeah. And it looked like he was like maybe in between hairdos and just kind of, I don't know, flat ironed it out, and that was the end of it. I don't know how to describe this.
Yeah. But as far as the doing a press conference, as far as his look, it's not, I'm not here to judge, but it's not my kind of personality wise. You understand what I'm saying? But like I say, I'm not here to judge. You won't catch me wearing or doing anything like that. But to each his own. But as far as on the court and how he feels about Lillard, It's kind of Miami. They kind of really do need him, because Miami's just gonna be stuck in the same type of Miami situation. You understand what I'm saying? They draft good. They do a lot of good things, but I would have been upset too. But as far as the look, it's not my type of look.
Jay.
Yep. So, Jason, and I don't know about you, Mario, but Jason, I know you're an old school cat, man. So you remember an old band called Panic at the Disco?
Yeah.
All right, man. So every time I look at Jimmy Butler, it immediately has me thinking of the song "I Write Sins, Not Tragedies," where it's like, I chimed in. Haven't you people ever heard of it? I mean, look, I'm happy he changed his hair back to his original style. I can say that, because there's just no way that, and I mean no way that I could take Jimmy Bucket serious, dropping 50 on somebody, moving a bang out his left eye. I just can't do it. But you know what? You hit the nail on the head, Mario, when, you talk about just him being upset with not getting Dame. Quite frankly, he also didn't get Drew. So, if there's ever a loser, like in this offseason, that's a recent memory, I guess it will be Miami, because you got to think about it. They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Matt Struss. They lost out on Drew Holiday. They lost out on Dame. Hopefully Tyler Hero comes back like at 100%. Hopefully Bam is like ready for the next season. But you're also talking about a Miami team that, quite frankly, wasn't even supposed to make the playoffs last year. People forget that part. And quite frankly, was almost a win away from not even making it in making the play-in tournament. So that's not write them off just yet. You just never know. I was actually talking to a couple of my guys. Big shout out to my guy Khalil, my guy James. I know they're listening on the podcast as well. But I was actually just having a conversation with those guys. And one thing I mentioned, prior to last year's playoffs, did anybody know who Gabe Vincent was? No. Did anybody know who Max Struss was?
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. So for some odd reason, Pat Riley pulls it out of his you-know-what and makes it happen. So I'm not going to write them off yet. Give me about 60, 70 games into the season before I say Miami is just washed.
All right.
Let's just get through all 82 and make it another play. Honestly, I forgot how long his hair was when I first saw it. I thought this was kind of a protest. I honestly at first thought he had a wig on. I thought he was just pissed, trying to protest and just kind of show his butt at media because he was mad. And then, you know what he does? I forget that he braids all that and has all that going on. So I forget that stuff and didn't realize. But, yeah, I thought it was a whole wig at first. I was like, this dude up here, mad, showing his butt, like. I get it. You wanted him. It would be a great addition. It'd probably put you as favorites as you and your 7 undrafted players last year did the unthinkable things, and this would help you continue building. And now you have a year already under your belt with these undrafted players. Now the chemistry and everything, you get to continue to build, an offseason to build and get ready for the next season. And you didn't get the piece. And honestly, when I first saw the picture without thinking and going into any research or even thinking about anything, I was like, this dude showed up, put a wig on, got I'm emo on him, and is just showing his butt for So, yeah.
With the lip ring, Jason, with the lip ring.
Yeah, I forgot about that, too. So, yeah. There was another stuff. Oh. Derrick Rose. I thought this was hilarious. So when they brought Derrick Rose in, Derrick Rose went ahead and sat down and talked to Jay Morant, and pretty much told him, I'm not your babysitter, I'm not following you around, all this other thing. At least he kind of put the law down, that what he was going to and not going to do. Do you like that approach, Jay? Do you feel that that was the right approach to start this whole thing off for them?
Yes and no. And here's why. You know, if I'm John Morant and I got a man like Derrick Rose on my team, I'm picking his brain. Like, no matter what, you know, that's the best resource for a guy like John Morant that you can ever have. Now, one thing that Derrick Rose didn't mention that he hit the nail on the head was him and D. Rose and John Morant both have a very similar play style. They play above the rim. They play really aggressive. They play really athletic. He also did give Ja his flowers and saying that, well, hey, man, you're on a whole different level, which I really don't believe. I believe that in his prime, D. Rose was way better than John Morant, but hey, you know, that's just my personal opinion. However, I will say this. It is imperative, and I mean imperative, that D. Rose carries John Morant under his wing as much as possible, because you got to think about this, man. D. Rose prime was short-lived, literally just due to injury, right? So, I mean, you're talking about a guy who, quite frankly, should just be coming out of his prime, if not still playing in his prime, and still he has a positive impact on the NBA as a broad. Everybody loves D. Rose, from the NBA, from the players to the coaches to the GM. This is a guy who reeks positivity. So for a guy like him, you have to mentor a guy like Ja Morant, especially considering the track record that Ja has. I don't believe Ja is a bad kid. I believe he's a great kid. I just believe he's just like every other young 20-year-old, you know, like doing it for the gram, doing it for the clout. And there's a guy like D. Rose who kind of plays low-key. It's kind of for guys like him to get these guys back on track. So I hope that D. Rose does take Ja on his wing and does coach him like as a coach on the court. I believe that's why he was brought to Memphis to begin with. And I believe that if he does that, you're going to see a resurgence in Ja Morant. You're going to see a MVP caliber player out of Ja Morant. You're going to see a 25-point scorer in Ja Morant. And then you're going to see a newly found leader out of Ja Morant.
I'm going to ask you one more question, because I don't keep up with this. I want to ask you something about Derrick Rose real quick. Then I'm going to ask Mario about a question about this, and I'm going to let you throw out a topic real quick before we get you out of here, because I know I told you about 20 minutes. I don't want to hold you up. What's changed with Derrick Rose? It seemed like in the beginning of his career, especially after the MVP season, he couldn't stay healthy. What has changed with Derrick Rose that it seems that he stays healthier now in his later years versus when he first came to the NBA?
So that's one of the things that you OG cats teach me all the time, man. It's called maturity, and it's called knowing your body. And what I mean by that is, and you know, I had the luxury of actually watching. I've had the luxury of watching Derrick Rose play live, you know, during his year and a half in Detroit. And when I tell you it's a different style of basketball, but still aggressive, it's one of those things to where you still see D. Rose for who he is, but you understand this isn't, I'm going to dunk on you, Derrick Rose. This is, I'm going to break you down with the dribble. I'm going to get it to an open man. I'm going to get that wide open lane to the basket. And that's how he's been able to prolong his career. Let's not also forget that he learned how to shoot that jumper. He learned how to create with that three-point ball. You saw that when he was playing in Minnesota right before he even came to Detroit. That's the type of Derrick Rose that was able to prolong his career, and I think it's the smartest thing that a man like him could ever do. I mean, quite frankly, he doesn't have an ACL, MCL almost anymore. So what, point is it for him to try to go back and – I mean, it's true. What is the point? What point would it be for him to try to go back and prove that he's the same old athletic D Rose as opposed to refining his game? You've seen this happen with NBA players many times over the league. I'll throw out a couple of names for you. Ray Allen, he was able to prolong his career like that. Brooke Lopez, he was able to prolong his career the exact same way. I'll take it even a step further for a lot of cats who, wasn't around like truly saw the game as it was during that time. You even had guys like Michael Jordan, who was able to advance his game after that first retirement to pick up that mid-range jumper. That expanded him into an extra retirement that he was able to produce from. Even Kobe Bryant was able to kind of pick up and advance his game to equate for about 20 years. Hell, even LeBron has had to do it. We all have to do it. It's just how smart are you at remembering that, hey, you're not going to beat Father Time. And with a guy like D Rose, you're also not going to meet the many injuries. Let me go ahead and actually revamp my game and get it to a point where I can last another 5-10 years in the league.
Now, did Al Horford, since you threw him out there earlier, did he do the same thing? He readjusted his so he could play until he was hits 100 now. Mario, Mario, do you think Derrick Rose is going to change Ja Morant's lifestyle? Like, do you think him being there, having a mentor that plays similar to his style, someone that's been in the league, someone that's been an MVP, all the accolades, all the things that a lot of these players look up to him, even that play with him, do you think that's enough to help get Ja Morant to, you know what, maybe I need to cut this crap out. Maybe, this dude right here, was a big deal. And injuries, I don't have the injuries. He had the injuries, so once was a big deal. He's a pretty good deal now, but Derrick Rose is not the same Derrick Rose from the Chicago Bulls at first. So I don't think he's away from Derrick Rose, but it's not the same Derrick Rose and when he won that MVP. Do you think it changes anything for what Morant does and how he takes this next season?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Just because we already know what to expect coming out of D Rose. He's going to teach. He's going to motivate. He's going to lead by example. And just in my opinion, just from his history, he definitely got a good story to tell. As far as his climb, his ups and downs, and the lessons that he's learned. So ain't nothing like listening to a player like that you really do respect, and you have a great respect for. He's gonna listen. But I also do think Ja Morant, he can't take no more L's. You understand what I'm saying? He can't really take no more L's. Doing nothing crazy out the way. He really can't afford it. So if he's a smart man, which I think he is, not saying he should be listening to what other people think or he should live his life. That's all cool and dandy. But at the same time, you're messing up the bottom line. The bottom line is the NBA. The bottom line is the team that he plays for. You understand what I'm saying? So he definitely got a lot to learn. But I think Derrick Rose is there to really help him out and to lead him. So it's a good pickup, honestly.
Two things for you, Jay. One, same question. Do you think it changes anything? And then two, anything you want to throw out there before we let you go?
Now, are you asking if it changes, like with D Rose being on the team, if it changes anything for Ja?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like, do you think he cleans up his act? Does he clean up his act? Does he those kind of things? That kind of the reason why they had to bring him Derrick Rose in because of the suspension. Do you think this is going to help clean up his act? Do you think Ja's going to become more focused on being the basketball player he should be versus worried about having the gang life or the stupid stuff that he'd be doing with the guns and the strip clubs and everything else?
Well, paraphrase of Mario, he had damn better. I mean, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, it's true. You know, here's the thing. You know, we got to say it up here. You're not that guy, pal. And that's just what it is. Like, you're not a thug. You're not a gangster. You don't have that level of street cred, brother. And what better person, honestly, seriously, what better person to express that to Ja Morant other than Derrick Rose? We forget, you know, Derrick Rose is from West Side Chicago. You know, that's Chirac. You know, that's the real hood. You know, and D Rose can tell them all about all the stories you want to hear about how it was for him coming up, and you know, like what the real hood really looks like. I want to see a Ja Morant who's focused on the game of basketball, point blank, period. Because I feel that a Ja Morant who is focused on the game of basketball and doesn't care what nobody thinks is the most dominant point guard in the league. And you heard it here. And that's not including a Dame or a Steph Curry. I'm talking about an up-and-coming guy who will dunk on you at moment's notice. That's the Ja Morant I need to see, and the only way you see that is if he gets all of that nonsense completely out of his head. I think Derrick Rose coming to Memphis was designed specifically to show that, and then also having a guy like Marcus Smart kind of also helps with that additional coaching. We forget Marcus Smart is also there as well. So you got two real mentors that you can actually pick up off of to learn from, and honestly to allow you to play your game as is. We all know this is Ja Morant's team. It's now a put up and shut up season for him.
Any topics that you want to throw out there, or any topic you want to throw out there before we get you out of here?
I was just talking to my boys. So check this out, man. This season is probably not probably. I take that back. This season is going to be the most spectacular season that we've seen in the NBA from now through like 2008. And the reason why I say that, you got a stacked playoffs in the Western Conference. You know, we always talk, you know, on, you know, who's going to go. I think last year, if you guys remember, you know, Phoenix was my squad. I'm a Golden State guy. I'm a Phoenix guy. I'm a LEC guy. I'm a Denver guy. I'm so excited to see that. My biggest interest right now is my hometown Detroit Pistons, baby. So much so, man, I'm actually going through our open practice on October the 15th. To kind of get and mix and mingle with those guys. I'm actually looking to mix up with Q Khalil, who's actually one of the beat writers for one of the Detroit Pistons podcasts in Michigan. So I'm trying to get some play time with him to kind of talk chop. I'm so excited for this season, man. I can't wait for tip-off.
Most definitely. I'm looking forward to that. Jay, I want to thank you for coming on, as always. Those that don't know Jay, Jay's been, I'm going to say with us. I'm going to use that word. I don't know if you feel that you've been with us, but Jay's been with us for like 10 years at this point.
Day one, baby.
Used to be on all the time. Life's taking him one way, life's taking us another way, but he's been on, I'd say, a handful of times over this last season, so looking forward to getting you back in the studio. Like I said, I'll shoot you a text after. We'll see about getting you back in a couple weeks, talk another 20 minutes. I like every few weeks, maybe we can get you on as we lead up to the season and things that happen. Also, one more thing. We're getting closer and closer to that game. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing two undefeated teams match up in the shoe. And hopefully our Buckeyes come out on top.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you ain't talking about UFM Ohio State. Go Blue, baby. You know what it is.
Jay, appreciate you. I'll shoot you a text. You have a great night.
You too. Good to see you, fellas.
All right.
That Jay Spearman, NBA expert, been with the 110 for a good about 10 years. Always love having him on the show. I miss the days that we had him every week, but you know, life takes you where you got to go and got things you got to do. So that's why we want to continue to grow. This is why, and I didn't plan this, and I don't want to use this as a way to kind of slide this in there, but I'm going to slide this in there. Especially for those that listen to the show. I don't care if you caught this on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, BTR, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Podchasers, GeoStavion. I know I'm missing one or two other ones. We're pretty much everywhere. I don't care which one you caught on there. If you enjoy content like this, and having Jay on and enjoyed that 25-minute segment, I need you guys to go over to YouTube and subscribe. The reason I say this, and it costs you nothing. All you got to do is go to YouTube and then look up the 110 Nation, or just go to the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network.com. Bottom one from the bottom tab. The bottom tab's Amazon. The one above that's the YouTube tab. Click it. It'll take you straight to our YouTube channel and subscribe. The reason I want to throw this in there is that we can get to a point that we can monetize it. We can use that to help hire staff so we can afford to have people stay with us versus having to go and do their own thing and worry about bills and everything else. So this is why it's important and why I definitely push my hardest on the YouTube channel. It is growing. I can't tell you how phenomenal it is growing. Our subscribers are up phenomenal amount from when we started pushing it about 6 months ago. Our views, our likes, our shares, everything I can break down. I tell you, the knowledge we can have and the analytics is phenomenal. Like, I can tell you from 6 to 9, that's when I need a post. I learned that this week. From 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the hottest 3 hours on our YouTube channel, and that's where we need to publish our videos and stuff. I'm still learning to help improve it, but if you're listening, I don't care where you catch this show, if you're listening to the show, do us a favor. Find the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network on the YouTube platform. Go subscribe. It don't cost you anything. I'm not even asking you, as much as I would appreciate you listening to shows and watching all the videos and everything, I'm not even asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to go over there, subscribe, so we can build our YouTube channel to a point that we can monetize and getting marketing partners, advertisers, and monetize on top of that so we can bring more of a staff on, upgrades, and all those other things. So make sure you guys go do that for us. Mario, this is the time. This is probably one of my favorite times of the week. Time for the NFL. It's time to talk football.
All right.
Like I said before, we got Jay on. I went 11-5. You went 10-6. I'm up 3 games on you. It's a close season so far. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what Week 5 brings. Before I get into our picks, Zach Wilson is the first. This is probably the most insane stat we'll have this year. Zach Wilson is the first opposing quarterback to outperform Patrick Mahomes in college or NFL. He had more completions, more yards, more touchdowns, and there was something else that he had. Even though the Jets lost, by all statistical purposes, Zach Wilson outperformed Patrick Mahomes. That's insane to me.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And that was actually a pretty close game, too. Crazy enough.
Right. It was really, it was close.
Picks-wise, this week, I'm not going to go over all the wins, but I will go over our losses, kind of just talk about what losses we had. You picked your first loss was Miami. Buffalo, I had them. The first loss I had was Chicago. You had Denver. They showed up, beat the Bears. Really, anybody just get on the field, I guess, against the Bears to win these days. We both lost the Browns. I did not realize until Sunday morning that the Browns had absolutely, positively none, zilch, nada, plan for a backup quarterback if Deshaun Watson ever got hurt. And that was obvious as hell this week. They put, I don't know his whole name, but they call him DTR. He's a 5th-round rookie quarterback. They put him in this week. We had Josh Dobbs. We didn't hold on to him. Last year we had Jacoby Brissett. I wish we would have held on to. We do not have a solid backup at all, or really a backup at all. That was horrible to watch. First of all, that offensive line didn't help any. What was considered one of the best offensive line had DTR on his back half the day, and then the other half of the day when he was throwing the ball, he barely got it to anybody. The throws were wide left, wide wide, right, short, too high, all over the place. That was, oh, God, that was the worst game that I've probably watched in a long time when it came to the Cleveland Browns. I had no idea. Nobody had any idea until Sunday morning that Watson was not going to play with the right shoulder injury. There's a lot of Browns fans out upset about there. Oh, he was supposed to play. He decided to sit. I know the hit. When I saw the replay, because when they announced the Sunday that he was not playing, I got on, started Googling everything. I was like, are you serious? Like, what did I miss? Then I happened to catch a segment on somebody where it showed where he hurt his shoulder when he was down towards the goal, and Deshaun ran the ball, and he took a hit. Like, during the game, I was like, damn, that's a hard hit. But he got up. It didn't seem like it bothered him that much. It bothered him a little bit, and I was like, all right, maybe it looked worse than what it was. He continued the game. Well, come to find out, it was as bad as that hit looked. He tried all week. They rested him, didn't have him throw anything, hoping that by Sunday morning he'd be ready to go. Decided Sunday morning that he was not ready. He said that he was not going to play. It being a division rival and the importance of the game, one side of me wishes that he would have played, but the other side looks at it as we're only 4 freaking weeks into the season. We got a bye next week, so basically he's going to get almost a 3-week stretch off from when he won against Tennessee last Sunday, or the Sunday before, all the way until not this coming up Sunday, but the following Sunday. So he gets a chance to recover. Browns fans that are pissed that Deshaun Watson didn't play, you need to get over yourself. Really, the only part that you should really be pissed about is the fact that the Browns had no game plan on a backup quarterback. Outside of that, I would rather, even though it's a divisional game, a home game, and an important game, I would rather him not play week 4 and have essentially 3 weeks to get ready for we're going 5, 6, so week 7. I would rather him be ready for that in the rest of the season than have played and it either got worse, it becomes a nagging injury, be a reoccurring injury, whatever the case. So I like the fact that he's like, look, I need the game off. We got another chance at him. We got 13 more games to go. So 2-2, we're at 500. It's like the season didn't begin. Like I said, Browns fans, get over it. It's not the end of the world. Once again, if you really want to be pissed about something, be pissed at the organization and no game plan on who was going to be behind Deshaun Watson if something happened. We both got Cincinnati wrong. Watching first things first, statistically, Joe Burrow is the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. Has not thrown a touchdown in 2 games. And Zach Taylor said that he will be playing against Arizona next week. And I think they got a bye after that. I don't necessarily agree with his situation. I think he probably, especially against Arizona, you're telling me your backup quarterback is so bad that you couldn't muster up a win against one of the other worst teams in the NFL. I'm not going to say they are the worst, but because they did beat the Cowboys. But the odds of Arizona putting up multiple good games, especially with a backup quarterback and that whole organization of misfits, you probably could put your backup quarterback in and win again. He might even perform better because Burrow's not thrown touchdown 2 games, statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL. It don't get much worse. And that was an argument on, well, it could get worse. What's worse than if you're already losing, what's worse? Like, why not take another L if you got to and let Burrow rest and recover? Because obviously going into the season, he was not ready. You try to put it together, and then you play Browns right out the gate, and the Browns just didn't help your injury situation because you spent half the day on your back. Not a good thing. The next game we both got wrong was New Orleans. Oh, my God, Baker Mayfield all of a sudden decided to play football again. We both got that game right. You got Carolina wrong. That's what got me this week. Well, if I'd have known Deshaun Watson wasn't playing, I would have picked Baltimore. I have no problem with picking against my team. I think you have a little harder time picking against your team. I have no problem.
Yeah.
Most of the time last year or the year before, I didn't even pick my team at all. So there's been many years I don't think I've picked them a single week. But like I said, if I'd have known, if this wouldn't have been a game-time decision, I sure in the hell wouldn't have picked the Browns. Next game, we both got the Steelers wrong. I think the Steelers we saw this last weekend was kind of what we thought we was going to see all season, so I think it kind of caught us off guard that we didn't see that we saw what we thought we was going to see all year versus what we'd seen the last couple weeks as they took a pretty bad loss to the Houston Texans. Chargers got right. Both got Dallas right. 49ers right. Okay, we got the rest of the games right. All right, so anything, and I'm going to try to look over in case you talk about anything from last week before we get into the new picks that sticks out to you, you want to talk about, worth a mention, anything you can think of off the top of your head.
Yeah, when is Carolina going to get their first win?
Oh, Lord have mercy. When are they going to get their first win? I don't know about that, but let me look to see when their bye is, and I will tell you the first week they won't lose.
Yeah.
I should be me. I've lived this life for so long being a Browns fan. And I guess if I had to ever pull for a second team, no, I couldn't do it. I know back when the Browns left, back in '95, and they expanded. And you had, and they expanded, and you brought in Carolina, and you brought in Jacksonville. Once the Browns left, that was the team I went to cheer for. You guys had Kerry Collins, and you had that squad. I'm not going to say I was a fan, but that's a team that I would pull for. I didn't know a lot about the team, didn't care to know a lot about the team. It took me until we got our team back to get over the fact that I lost my team. So I just gave me somebody to at least pull for until we returned, because I knew that was always a possibility. That's why we kept our name. It was always in the discussion. I don't think there was ever a doubt we was going to get a team back. So that was who I pulled for. But, feel for you. And I don't think it's going to be this week, not against Detroit. So it's probably going to be a long season for you. Do you think Bryce Young's going to make it there?
Say what?
Do you think Bryce Young's going to make it there?
He really got an uphill battle. You know, even the coaching staff.
With the experience of the coaching staff, they got all these experienced head coaches, gurus, and things where I feel like they can't get things right. And I feel like it really is hurting Bryce Young just because they can't get the ball down the field. They can't, you know what I mean? It's all good just to run slant, but you can't run slant. You can't run just 5-yard slants all day long and bubble screens or you know what I mean? It just wears the team down. You know what I mean?
Oh my bear, Panthers!
Yeah.
Oh my bear, we're going to.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a lot of people running? I know that you know this as well because you're friends with me on Facebook. I have a lot of people that I'm friends with, and I'll consider them friends, from North Carolina. For those that haven't listened to the show for a long time, 4 years ago, I moved back from North Carolina. For those who have listened to the show, you've been there through the whole ride. There's multiple times that I moved in North Carolina. The show started in North Carolina. I moved back to Dayton, Ohio 4 years ago. I feel that I was a pretty well-known person in the town that Mario and I met myself. Everybody knew who I was in that town. I'm not going to say I was the most popular person or I was friends with everybody, but everybody knew who Jason was, the Circle K manager in Spring Lake. So I'm still friends with quite a few people. I talk to some of them still here and there, message some, comment some. I know Jimmy Britt. I don't know if you're friends with him. I know he's got a Bryce Young jersey. I know I got a couple other friends that have Bryce Young jerseys. Is there a lot of people wearing Bryce or have Bryce Young jerseys? And
no.
No. And it's that's jerseys, and then we'll get into the picks. jerseys are a tough thing for me. Like, I know this is what you do. Like, Carolina Sports Plus, jerseys, NFL, merchandise, that's what you do. Jerseys are a hard thing for me. And the reason is, I don't traditionally, most of the time, never before, still on the fence, contemplating, have had a favorite player when it comes to the NFL or any sport. I am a fan of the team. I am a Cleveland Browns fan. So, if prime example, I'm a Cavalier fan. So LeBron's there. All right, I'll cheer for LeBron. I'm a fan of LeBron. LeBron leaves, I could care if he ever wins the game again. That's how I am with my teams and any player. So jerseys are a hard thing for me because that kind of makes me insinuate or kind of paint this picture that that's my player, that's my fan, or that's my favorite player, or that's who. Yeah. And that's not the deal for me. So jerseys are hard for me because now I have a Nick Chubb, and that's probably the closest thing to a favorite player that I have. The issue is, and I hope this never comes to reality, is if the Browns don't re-sign him, trade him, or he decides to go somewhere else, I don't think I would still be a Chubb fan because I'm a Browns fan. So that's where my difficulties with jerseys come into. I will wear Cleveland Browns stuff. And don't get me wrong, I got a Braylon Edwards. I think I caught it on sale. It was the only reason I have a Braylon Edwards. I used to. I don't know if I still have it. I have an old Andre Rison Browns jersey. I was real big on what's his face, the big white dude, muscle bound. Just had one of his kids. I think he got hurt trying to save one of his kids in the pool. Peyton Hillis. I have one of his jerseys. That's just because he was just a big beastie dude. I like. I think I have a Trent Richardson. That's just because I don't know why. That was such a bust of a pick for us out of Alabama. I just think everybody thought he was going to be a big deal, so I got his jersey and ended up being a bust. And I actually got Deplete, I don't know how you say, number 22, one of our safeties or cornerbacks, one of our best players on our team. I do have his jersey as well. I had gotten that at a flea market. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, looking over. Oh, I got a Brady Quinn jersey. I know it was another one. I don't even know why I got the Brady Quinn jersey, other than maybe the fact that I worked in Chapel Hill when UNC beat Notre Dame. As like I said, I've never been a Notre Dame fan. I can remember it was probably around 2007, 8, 9, somewhere in that ballpark. And now we're going to get in our picks after I do this real quick. I can remember. I don't know how familiar you are with Chapel Hill, but I used to work, the first place I worked at in Chapel Hill as a bouncer, I worked at the corner of Rosemary and Henderson. When you came into Chapel Hill, it was like the first road on the right-hand side, across from the university. You went down a little bit and you hit another stop sign. It was a place on the right called PT's. And I worked for him when the Tar Heels won the championship basketball. Is when Ty Lawson and Hansborough was all there and all them. I remember the night very specifically that UNC beat Notre Dame. And the reason this night sticks out in my head is because this was the first night that I actually, at this particular club, or any club, because I'd always worked with my best friend who owned the security company that got me on there. I had never worked without him. Like, I hadn't been with him that long, but I'd done the door sometimes. I say door, but this particular place had an actual brick and metal gate and wall outside. So you had to kind of walk through this gateway, and that's where we stood to collect entry fee. It was like $3 a head. And the reason I remember that is he's like, look, capacity is like 201. He said, but you could just let people in, just kind of let them in, shouldn't have no issues. UNC won that game. UNC was probably not supposed to win that game. It was a big deal that UNC won that game. And all of a sudden, Chapel Hill is insanely busy. And I'm letting people in. I'm still letting people in. And next thing you know, now this club was not the smallest. It wasn't big, but it wasn't the smallest place. And they had an outdoor patio area. And it was so freaking crowded that it got to a point that when I would collect people's $3, I would have to kind of push them in through the gateway because there was no longer anywhere to stand, walk, move, anything. I tell you what, I don't think there was ever a day they made more money at that door because I let everybody in. So it was so insane that night. People trying to come in I'm trying to run security. I'm trying to make sure that nobody's doing anything they're not supposed to be doing, collect the money, and keep people from trying to jump over the gate to get in because nobody wanted to stand in a line or try to go through the madness at the front gate that essentially was through the whole building and place because there were so many people out that night. But anyway, I could go with stories on end about Chapel Hill, UNC, in my 5 or 6 years of bouncing there. It was one of the best times of my life and insanely crazy and fun. Week 5. Let's get into some picks. Let's get this party started. Thursday night. God, this Thursday night game's going to suck. Not to be beat about it, but we got Chicago, the 0-4 Chicago Bears, making their way to Washington to play what's probably not a good 2-2 Washington team, but a 2-2 Washington team. As much as I say this game's going to suck, I don't think it's going to be a fun game or good game to watch, other than it might be close. I'm not expecting a lot out of either of these teams. I'm not expecting a lot of points. I felt pretty confident when I was walking into this whole game that whoever it is the Bears are playing, I'm obviously not going to pick the Bears, but it's the Commanders. I'm going to say I'm going to probably regret this, and I'm going to probably be pissed, and I'm going to start off the week 0-1. But Washington's at home. They have won a couple games. They're a little further along in this whole process of becoming a good team than the Bears are. I'm going to take the Commanders.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and ride that train with you. I thought the same thing. They are a better built team. Got a little bit more positive going on, but I'm going Commanders as well. Yeah, coach better.
Yep.
But I'm going that way too.
We get the blessing and opportunity to actually wake up and watch football Sunday as Jacksonville and Buffalo make their way over to London. Before we make our picks, what's your thoughts on those games, like the London game? Are you a fan of the London games? Do you think that the NFL should put the players through travel in time zones to play that game, turn around and come back, switch time zones, the whole mess of everybody getting loaded up on planes, the possibility of losing things, all that stuff? Do you think it's that big of a deal? Is it really that important? Does it really change much? What's your thoughts on it?
No. Go ahead and pack your bags up, get your passport, and go see the great things that overseas can do for you while you get paid doing it. You understand what I'm saying? It definitely helps the brand out, you know.
That part of it, I agree with you 100%. Like, if I was a football player, I'm making millions of dollars. I'm living life. How about I see the world while I'm living life? Let me go experience London. Yeah. Let me go see England. Let me go see. I would love to go. I'd love to see these old castles and churches and everything else, all that over there. But when it comes to the organization part of it, the whole team, I mean, that's a lot of people that you got to get on a plane to go all the way across the world, not just next to a couple states over, which still quite a bit, but it's not. You're talking a lot of people on a plane for a lot of hours. I flew on a plane. I went to Bosnia. I had to stop. We stopped in Ireland, Scotland, somewhere. I forget where. We did an hour layover. And then I flew into Germany. And then from Germany, I think we stayed the night there. Then I want to say we caught another flight. We flew into, well, I know we did. We flew into Tazar, Hungary is where we landed. And for those that don't know, I spent a combination between Hungary, Croatia, and Bosnia. I was there for about a year. Or it wasn't about a year, it was a year. So I know what it's, on the military aspect of it, I know what it's like to try to get, you're talking at least 100 people. You're looking at 53 players, and then you're not talking about the coaches and the medical staff and all the other support that you got going on and everything else. I guarantee you're probably looking more like 150 people, plus everybody's equipment and everything else. That just, like I said, from the player side, I agree with you 100%. That lifetime, you don't, well, I'm not going to say you won't get that opportunity. You're worth millions, so once you retire, you can do what you want to do, and you've got the money to do it. But you might as well do it on the NFL's dollar. But from the organization, like the teams, and when I say organization, like the Chiefs, well, for this instance, Buffalo and Jacksonville, I couldn't imagine what the headache it is to get everybody on the same sheet of music, to get everybody to either the airport that you're flying out of, even if it's a personal plane, which I'm assuming that's their plane, or even a commercial flight. Everybody on time, traffic, luggage, equipment. I just can't imagine it. I wouldn't even want to imagine it. But we got Jacksonville, and I almost said at Buffalo. At London, Buffalo gets credit for the home game, which I don't like how you lose a home game when you travel like that. I'm not a big fan of that as well. But Buffalo, quote-unquote, home team, your first this round, who are you going with?
I'm going to go ahead and go with Buffalo.
I am 100% behind you on that one. I think Buffalo got that loss out the way. That way there's no pressure. I'm not saying they did it intentionally, but now there's no pressure. Oh, undefeated, because that was conversations with me going into the year with Dallas and Kansas. Oh, this is going to be undefeated. No. So you got the loss out the way. That whole conversation's already killed. You ain't got to worry about it. There ain't no pressure on it. I think you figured some things out. I think you guys worked on some things. You're now 3-1. Jacksonville still working on Jacksonville's still working things out. I don't think Jacksonville is still where they were as we finished last year. I think Jacksonville will continue to tweak things. I think Jacksonville will look more like last year, especially the later part of the season of playoff Jacksonville, as we get closer to the end of the season as well than we did than where we're at right now. I just think they got things to work out. I just think that you came off a high of what you guys did last year. You kind of rolled into this year like you thought you would do the same thing, and teams made a lot of adjustments. You figure Indianapolis has got a new quarterback. Houston's got a new quarterback. So there's a lot of things that changed in the South, just the South alone. So I think Jacksonville, like I said, get to the end of the season or latter part of the season, I think we'll see the Jacksonville we saw last year. I think Buffalo, I think all roads still go through Kansas City. But I think that our road, I think I put Buffalo, Kansas City in that championship game. So would not be anything that surprises me. I think Buffalo starts rolling, and I think Buffalo's going to dominate for a while, at least the East. But I think they're looking real good out there in the AFC again. Houston and Atlanta. There was a lot of talks whether or not Atlanta should have went with C.J. Stroud. Instead, they went a different direction, and I don't think a lot of people are happy in Atlanta right now. They're 2-2, going against a 2-2 teams. It's not like they just can't win games. They're just not impressive. They're not the Atlanta Falcons we've watched for many years at this point. Not the high scoring with Rowdy White and Julio Jones and Gonzalez and Matt Ryan, the Dirty Birds that won a championship. That's not that Atlanta Falcons right now. We're an Atlanta Falcons that is trying to figure out how to rebuild themselves. I think that they got a lot of work to do. I don't think this quarterback situation is going to work. I think eventually we will see probably Carolina too, but Atlanta move on to another situation behind center. Houston, Man, it is hard to pick Houston because even though they're 2-2, they won the games. They looked good against Pittsburgh. I guess it's the lack of what I talked about earlier. There's no flashiness. There's nothing sticks out. Like, if I would have looked at their record earlier, I wouldn't assumed that they were 2-2. I'd assume they're 0-4. Like, you just don't. There's not a lot of talk other than the stats we threw out about C.J. Stroud, and those came out this week. There's not a lot of talk about Houston. There's not a lot of talk about anything to do with that whole organization. And so I'm kind of in this limbo because it's this team that just kind of quietly just there. Like, they're not being blown out, so it's like even their losses are not bad losses. It just, I don't know. It's hard to describe my feelings about Houston right now, or even C.J. Stroud as doing something that nobody else has done, and second in passing yards with 1,200 yards in the first 4 games as a rookie that a lot of people weren't betting on. Is very, very impressive. I did not see that coming, and I am a Buckeye. I said at some point, I think it was this NFL season, but at some point since he announced he was going to go to the draft, I felt that he should stay another year. I hate the fact that quarterbacks come in, do 1 year, and they think they're NFL ready. I don't think any of them are ever NFL ready after one season. I think that all these college quarterbacks need 2 or 3 good years at least. You're going to tell me that after 1 year of playing maybe 2 or 3 really good teams and then 6 or 7 mediocre to sorry teams, because there's so many college teams, you're going to tell me that now that qualifies you to go play in a league that has 32 teams of the best that are faster, hit harder, no more, scheme better, everything. Are you telling me that that's what you're – so I already hate the one and done when it comes to quarterbacks. Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud, seems like there was someone else, Cordell Jones, J.T. Barrett. He might have made it 2 years, but I still think he left early. Seemed like there's another name or two that I'm probably missing. I can't remember how long Troy Smith was there, but he did end up being a bust as well. So I'm not – I hate when quarterbacks do that. But with that being said, even though it's nothing flashy, I mean, come on, Mario. 1,212 yards, 4 or 6 touchdowns. I can't remember at this point. No interceptions through the 4. I think it's 6 touchdowns through the first 4 games. That's phenomenal. Nobody's ever done.
Yeah.
So I kind of been going back and forth as I've been trying to give myself a little more time to think about it.
I already know where I'm going.
I figured. I'm gonna go Houston. I'm gonna go Houston.
This could be the game I catch up, but it could be a game I lose. But I'm going Houston too, though.
You're first on this one. We'll see. I watch a couple different. Actually, I watch a good handful to 2 handfuls of different stock, either shows or podcasters. Like I watch Bloomberg, so I won't say all of our podcasters. Bloomberg's a whole network of shows. But I spend half my day listening to sports. Well, I probably listen to about 25% of my day sports, 75% of my day listening to the market and financial stuff. As I am very intrigued with the market. I invest in the market. I'm in crypto and all that, and that stuff. All that stuff intrigues me. I am very numbers and stats and all that. That's why I love sports as much as I do, and that's also why I love the stock markets and learning that and the trends and the moving averages and the VWAP and all this other stuff. And I know that means nothing to you, but I was trying to remember what I was going to say. One of them I listened to, his name is Keenan. Keenan Grace, I think is his last name. I drew a blank. It's Keenan Grace, yeah. He has this saying. He even has a shirt. It says, think with the charts, not with your heart. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to apply this to this game because I'm curious. Are you going to think with your heart, or are you going to think with the chart?
Yeah.
So who do you have?
The Houston game?
No, Carolina, Detroit.
Oh no, I'm going. Man.
You're like, no, I'm done with that one. No, you didn't pick that. Carolina might already be done with that one. We got to make this pick.
I'm gonna go. They just don't look
he's
good,
think.
man.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to think with his heart. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go. See what? I'm gonna go. Oh man. I just don't. I would love to see it though. I would love to see it. Could this be the game? If my fellow Carolina fans listening, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna go ahead and one of these games they got to win now. One of them.
You know, the funny thing is, you say that. I've lived through an 0-16 team. No, they don't have to win. As a matter of fact, I've lived through a 1-31 2-year stretch. They don't always have to win.
I'm gonna go ahead and go Lions. You make this quick. Go Lions, man.
You know, made me scribe done, wrote down Carolina and everything. I'm surprised. I thought you would think with your heart, not with the chart. Obviously, I'm going with Detroit. Detroit's a good team.
Yeah, they
you
are.
don't get to say that often. I wish they would have done this a long time ago, especially with Barry Sanders. But Detroit's a good team. I like what they've done.
Yeah, they are.
It makes the North interesting. I wish the Bears were, I'd say better, but just could win a game. I wish Minnesota was a traditional Minnesota team where they're a little bit above 500 instead of this 1-3 that we're looking at. And I kind of wish Green Bay still had Rodgers so that they would be competitive, because I think this is the first Lion team that if all 4 teams were actually playing like they normally do versus usually Detroit sucking and the other 3 teams being good, I think we could have an very interesting NFC North battle. But unfortunately for the North, Detroit looks like they're about the only team that's really any good out there. So I think we're going to have our NFC North picks wrong. But I think that's the only team out north that really looks any good out there. Tennessee and Indianapolis. Tennessee took a beat down from the Browns and turn around and put the same beat down on the Bengals. I think they'll put the same beat down in Indianapolis. I don't know if Richardson's going to be back. I think he's gotten out of that concussion protocol. But I don't. It could be Minshew again. It could be Richardson. I don't think it's going to make a difference. Tennessee, I think they slipped up against the Browns, as great as I think my defense and my Browns are and how good they play. Tennessee is at least better than just scoring 3 points against the Brown team. They're definitely better than the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans. Who you got?
Yeah, I got the Tennessee Titans as well.
Tennessee. All right, your first on this go-around is probably an easy pick as well. You got the Giants traveling to Miami.
I'm going Miami.
Yeah, I figure so. I don't know what really to say with that. Up until last week, everybody thought Miami was the best team in the NFL. Of course, we try to extend this. If not, our live listeners are not going to be able to hear the rest of this. They had to catch on the replay. I'm not sure if it extended it. Yeah, it extended it. All right. Up until last week, everybody thought Miami was the best team. Then Buffalo comes in. Now we're thinking Buffalo is the best team, which I don't, but some people do. Once again, I think everything goes through Kansas City. The AFC, I think Kansas City is the best team. Looking down the line of teams, Buffalo may be your second best team, followed by Miami, Baltimore. But Miami, obviously, is definitely better than the Giants. I think the relationship between coach and quarterback, Daniel Jones, I think that is deteriorating quickly.
Yeah.
lip reading and hearing what you could hear from last week's game, I think it's going to get ugly quick there. I don't know who's not going to be there next year, but I have a feeling if Giants and this relationship between especially the coach and the quarterback keep going the way they're going, somebody's gone the end of this season. So next one on the list is the New Orleans Saints, New England. This is going to be a good game, a tough game, close game, only due to home field advantage. Am I going with the New England Patriots? Neither team really impressed me. Neither team are horrible. They just don't impress me. I just think at home, I think New England will find a way to win this game.
Let me go ahead and get a catch-up game in there. Let me go ahead and go. I'm going New Orleans one time.
All right, next one on the list is Baltimore in Pittsburgh. You are up first.
I'm going to go ahead and go Baltimore.
As much as I hate both these teams, I really love watching these two play because the hatred, the fight, the tempers are great. So I'm hoping that Red Zone pops this on quite a few times because I love watching these two go at it, hate each other, everything else. But I am on board with you. I am taking B more over the Steelers. I think what we said about the Steelers is 100% true, and we're seeing that. Baltimore, honestly, I think if Deshaun Watson is not hurt, we beat the Ravens. As ugly as it looked this weekend, we turned the ball over. Defense couldn't stay off the field because our quarterback, our backup quarterback, or whatever the hell you want to call DTR, because I don't even know if I want to call him a quarterback at this point, constantly was 3 and outs or turning it over, and the defense seemed like they were on the field all the time. I think if you had Deshaun Watson in there, we were scoring, we were giving the defense the break that they needed. I think Baltimore loses, the Browns win. But that's not what happened. That's why there's any given Sunday. That's why they played the game, and that's why I picked the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Steelers. So I think Baltimore is a much better team. I am first on this round, Philadelphia into Los Angeles against the Rams. I think Philly continues their streak of being undefeated. I think both our undefeated teams will continue, and we'll get into the second one later, but I think both of our undefeated teams will continue the streak. I think definitely in the NFC, these are the two best teams. Talk about the undefeated teams, and arguably the other team, Philadelphia and Kansas City, are your top 3 teams in the entire NFL. I got Philadelphia over the Rams.
I also got Philadelphia over the Rams.
Next, you got Cincinnati at Arizona. Yeah.
Oh. I think I'm first this time, so I'm going to go ahead and go Cincinnati.
We both went Cincinnati last week. We both quickly regretted it. We both know that we all know that Joe Burrow is not healthy. Statistically, the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. Ain't thrown a touchdown in 2 weeks. And is not all of a sudden going to become healthy. And on top of that, you travel to Arizona. I will say if I knew Burrow was healthy or there wasn't even a question whether or not he should be sat or not, I probably would lean in the same direction as you. But with all those things said, I think Arizona at home, who has a quarterback playing better than Joe Burrow. I'm not saying he's better than Joe Burrow. He's playing better than him. And a team that is hungry out there in the West, trying to get out of the bottom in a division that has Seattle, who's looking good, San Francisco, who's looking good. I think that the Arizona Cardinals, and of course, you got the Rams out there. I'm not saying they're looking good, but they ain't looking bad either. But I think Arizona uses his opportunity this weekend to even up with the Rams, try to catch up with the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. But at the end of the day, until Burrow gets healthy, or at least healthier, where he's at least able to throw a touchdown, I don't know if I can pick the Bengals anymore. Not that I really like picking them. I hate the Bengals. And like I said, I hate 31 teams, but there are especially 3 teams I hate more than the rest of them. That's the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Ravens. I got to go with the Cardinals on this one. I cannot do until he gets healthy, or at least healthier. The next one, wow, this is going to be a whole show. And that is the New York Giants traveling to Denver to play the Denver Broncos, 2 teams that arguably are amongst the worst in the NFL. Get the face off Sunday afternoon. I was going to say I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier and base it off who had home field advantage. I'm not even going to go to that level. You got a better coach in Denver. You got the better quarterback in Denver. I'm not going to say they got the better defense or the better receivers. I'm going to place my bet in hopes that the better coach and quarterback win, and at home over the Jets. Home said Giants, so I'm going to go with Denver.
Yeah, I'm also going Denver as well.
All right, you're up next. Kansas City travels to Minnesota.
I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah. All roads go through Kansas City unless I play the Browns. I'm probably always going to pick Kansas City, and it even depends on that if I pick the Browns. Sunday night, probably the game of the week. This is going to have your other undefeated team, and that is San Francisco, with Brock Purdy, who is yet to lose a regular season game, against the 49ers, who some people are projecting Dak Prescott to throw 2 interceptions this week. But we kind of saw a glimpse of the old Dak Prescott, the turnovers, the everything else. Not impressed with his play this last week. But with that being said and done, I really could care less about Dak Prescott or the rest of the 49ers, or I'm sorry, the rest of the Cowboys. I have the 49ers. I might even have the 49ers going to the Super Bowl. Might have been who I picked. I like what they're doing, the 49ers. I like the defense. I like the quarterback. CM out there, Christian McCaffrey, Debo. A lot of things going on. The 49ers looking really good. Like I said, my big selling point on my pick on this is the fact that Brock Purdy is yet to lose a regular season game. That is so impressive. He played like half a season last year, and we're going into week 5 this year. It is yet to lose a regular season game. I like to see how long this run goes for Purdy. So, and it's not like I expect him to go undefeated this season, but I like to see how far this run goes of not losing a regular season game. I got the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning 49ers way too. I'm going 49ers also.
What they should have done is they should have flexed, and they should have shifted. Most definitely. Well, I got mixed feelings about this. Let's do our pick, then I'll say what I was going to say. You got the first pick, Green Bay at Las Vegas.
I'm going to go ahead and go Green Bay.
You did pick the 49ers too, right? Or not even ask you.
Yeah.
West Skip, are you doing your pick?
Yeah. No, I picked 49ers.
Okay. So make sure. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. Things are kind of blending together at this point. Freak. I'm going to go with it. It's not going to be a fun game to watch, but I think it's another one of those that's going to be a close game. Like the Washington Chicago game. Not a fun game to watch, but a close game. I got a feeling. I'm gonna shift it up. I'm gonna go the Raiders.
All right.
I'm gonna go the Raiders. More of a home field. I wish they would flex. What I mean by that is I wish they would switch the Sunday Monday game. I know it's easier to flex an early Sunday game for a late Sunday game versus a Sunday game to a Monday game, and that's why I said I wish they would, because I know they're not going to. It was 2 different dates. But I really wish, part of me, and this is why I stopped myself, part of me wishes this was a Monday night game and it stood all alone, the 49ers and Cowboys. The other part of me, I'm glad because it's Sunday, so I can sleep in, catch a nap, still be able to be up late to watch this game and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. Versus if it was a Monday night game and I've already been up since 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and I got to get up the next day at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm not watching hardly any of the 49ers game. So part of me is glad it's still a Sunday night game because I can nap and plan around it. But the other part of me wishes it was a Monday night game, so it was a standalone game, and how phenomenal that would be. All right, we only ran about 10 minutes over, so not too horribly bad. We keep having shows and everything like this. We'll end up either splitting shows and doing 2 shows or going to the 2 hours at this point. I told you it was going to be. We had to cut all the BS out at the beginning. We had to get straight to the point because I knew it was going to be cram-packed. With that being said, Mario, website, social media, let them know where you're going to be and what you got going on so we can get things wrapped up and get out of here.
All right. You can check us out at the Robinson County Fair. We'll be out here until Saturday. And you can like us on Facebook at Carolina Sports Plus. And you can find us online at carolinasportsplus.com.
You can also find the 110 Nation at the 110 Nation SportsRadioNetwork.com. It's got our blog. It's got our videos. It's got our shows. It's got our schedule. It's got our marketing partner. It's also got a whole long line of tabs on the right-hand side of the page or underneath any video or blog that takes you to whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. If you listen it on let me mute you a second. You're real loud all of a sudden. If you listen to us on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, YouTube, it don't matter what platform you listen to us on. We are on there. There's a tab. It'll take you to it. Follow us over there. Or if you're catching this on a platform or want to know how to catch it on a platform, all you got to do is open your app, iHeartRadio or Spotify, search the 110 Nation or the 110 Nation Sports. I have looked them all up. I have found them on all of them, so I know it's that easy to find them. And then just follow us on there. That way it notifies you when there's shows. I say that, but I don't remember the last time either one of them notified me, but I don't have the actual Spotify or iHeartRadio app on my phone. If I catch it on those, I usually just come and do it on my computer. Usually I listen through it through our YouTube channel, which brings me to that. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Help us continue to grow, be able to monetize so we can bring more of a staff, upgrades, and more shows. 110 Sports, Facebook, make sure you like us. Twitter, at 110 Nation. Instagram, _110_Nation. Like I said, YouTube, the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Monday nights, the 110 Nation Sports, or the 110 Nation, 110. There you go, I'm checking up. The 110 Nation Race Chat Live exclusive. We sit down Mondays. We do an interview with different guests. And we had an opportunity, or our guest didn't show up Monday, but Chris and I had an opportunity to put on probably one of my favorite shows ever. 30 minutes of great talk, conversation, cutting up, everything else. If you did not catch it, make sure you go back and catch that show. It is also on every Monday night, 8 o'clock. You got Race Chat Live, Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. Chris, Taz, and Miss Lee, they recap the previous week in the sporting world. Then they get you guys ready for the upcoming weekend as NASCAR travels to Charlotte for the Roval. Great show, 8 o'clock. Of course, you got the 110 Nation Sports Show, 9 or 8 o'clock right here. And then Thursday nights, we got Safety to Success, Jared Hudson. Talks safety and racing. He talks racing. He usually has about 2 guests on the show. Last week, I think there were, I don't think I know. Both of them were race car drivers. The week before, there was a vendor. It has to do with food out at the track and another driver. He's had track owners on there. He has promoters. Phenomenal show. As a matter of fact, it is the highest rated or most listened show on our network. So make sure you guys check that out Thursday night, 8 o'clock. Like I said, all the shows are live, 8 o'clock BTR. After that, once they're completed, all the shows get distributed to all the different platforms. So after that, you can catch all the shows that way. If you're interested, join the 110 Nation. If you have a show and you're already doing it and you want to join our network to help get your show distributed out there and on our platforms to open up your audience and then help us to fill our platform or our network with more shows, or maybe you want to do a show. You've had an idea to do a show. You've tinkered around with having a show. Maybe you've had a show in the past, or maybe you want to do a show, or maybe, you've been guest on shows but has not had the network or the knowledge or maybe the finances, because all this that we do here on all these platforms, the websites, the hosting, everything we do, it gets to be rather expensive. And you want to join our network and do your show on our network. Either way, hit me up, mrcjsports@gmail.com. I will have videos coming out the rest of this week. I traveled to Gatlinburg Friday morning. I'll be doing them over the weekend. I'll probably be doing some as the wife is driving down there. I think we're going to take an hour or two break where she takes over the driving so I can do that. But next Wednesday night, right here, in the Carolina Sports Plus studio on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, the 110 Nation Sports Show. Until then.